The following program is a special presentation brought to you by WXOW 19.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for our half-hour special on the Jefferson Awards.
We honor local people going above and beyond to do good, making their communities better places to live.
And tonight we'll look back on past winners, share their stories, and hopefully inspire you to go out and volunteer.
If there's something that needs to be done, he's on my speed dial.
Mark Wally is the pastor at Trinity Lutheran Church. He takes care of his members. Al helps take care of the building.
Anything that needs to get done, I can count on Al to get it done.
But Al has not limited his contribution to the church. With 4 other community members, Al is part of a group known as the 5 Shovelmen. They use their construction skills to beautify the city. They've built a number of structures throughout Sparta, among the most notable, bridges, the first of which was built in 2009.
It really created an enthusiasm with the city fathers. Went to the Bend Biking Bridge, which was quite a step up from the first one, and then on to the third one where Al joined us, the Point Bridge in 2012 and dedicated in 13, and then the year after, the Mary Morrow Bridge.
A beautiful covered structure containing intricate latticework. You can find a guide to all bridges in the Beaver Creek kiosk downtown, an elaborate kiosk built, of course, by the 5 Shovelmen. It's just a few steps away from the most recent bridge, the Lovelock Bridge. Couples express their affection with engraved locks and attach them to cables that run through the structure.
This is getting more and more popular all the time. People are saying, oh, I got one on there now, so yeah, it's pretty neat. And they come from all over. With the bike trails and stuff, we end up with a lot of visitors from way out of state and all over the place, and they just can't get over it.
The Lovelock Bridge is part of an impressive body of work throughout the city, to which Al Jenkins contributed significantly.
It's real fulfilling, you know. My granddaughters work here, and they're pretty proud of that, and so am I.
These bridges and other projects help make Sparta unique, but it's the people, like Al Jenkins, who help make the city of Sparta special. Judy Wolf is the next recipient of the Jefferson Award.
In this farmhouse, stuffed with sparkle and lace, is the fairy godmother of Holman, Wisconsin.
This is just not even a fourth of what I have.
Devoted to making dreams come true.
It makes them happy. The one little girl says, I've never been a princess before. She's just twirling around. And it was just, that's the thanks I get. I love it.
Prom gowns and wedding dresses for free or a fraction of the price.
I don't get rich on this. No. I do it just to help girls. And the money that the girls pay for some of the dresses goes to pay for the storage. So it's not a get-rich thing.
It's more like break even, if you can. This started with a small collection when Judy Wolf saw a second life for her daughter's discarded formal dresses.
Ooh.
Many of these gowns are donated.
I like that.
Or Judy buys them herself. She's become a self-taught dry cleaning whiz and an expert seamstress. She's even known to do alterations for free. And she tucks lessons between the tool. She wants the girls to learn how to give back, so she's spending time teaching them to sew tiny gowns for stillborn babies or preemies that don't survive.
You don't want to get gratitude or anything, you know. What I think is really nice is the photographers that come in and take pictures. They did that for my daughter. Took a lot of pictures of the baby and stuff too.
Some of Judy's wedding dresses have stubborn stains, or the style may be a little too dated, so she transforms them into these miniature angel gowns. Something that was not available the day her granddaughter was stillborn.
And when I saw that poor little girl with this diaper 3 times bigger than her, laying wrapped in a blanket, I couldn't believe it.
Teaching comes easily to Judy.
It is healing. It helps.
She used to be a nurse aide in the school system until she was put on permanent disability in 2002.
It's been hard. I mean, I've got a cupboard full of medicine that I have to take and stuff. Let's see.
Judy is plagued by health problems because she was a 9/11 volunteer.
That was when the towers came down. That was over there too.
Working about 4 blocks from Ground Zero, where she and thousands of others were exposed to toxic dust.
The numbers are just so high. Just within a week, just last week, there was 5 of them passed away with cancer.
And while she cannot earn a paycheck like she used to, Judy calls the work she is doing worth it and says it has helped her navigate the peaks and valleys of PTSD.
I still don't regret going. I mean, I look at all the people that I was able to help, even though I'm, sick. But there was a lot of people I could help while I was there.
Her perspective is rare and refreshing. So before our conversation was over, we had to ask Judy where that seed of volunteerism got started.
My dad was a volunteer firefighter. And my mom always taught us, always do for others, don't always do for yourself.
Our next winner is John Warwick.
For the past 5 years, John Warwick has done whatever has to be done at the Hunger Task Force, a food bank in La Crosse.
Oh, I got a clinger.
On this day, he and his friend Joshua are washing crates used to transport donated food.
John, for some reason, picks the jobs that nobody likes to do.
Yeah, whatever you guys need, we'll do.
When our crates get piled up, he knows that's a job that's for him. He needs to get on that right away. So he's really helpful there. And how can you not smile when he's around? It's just, he's a great guy.
The Hunger Task Force is one of many nonprofits for which John volunteers. Service that is a significant part of his day. You might describe it as a calling, a contribution that began with a promise.
I went through a pretty rough time in my life, and I kind of just promised God that I'm going to try to help clean up this world. So I just continually picked up litter at different places. I got one of those little grabbers, and just every time I see something on the ground, I still pick it up.
In a way, he's simply expanded that philosophy.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that.
Thanks to John, the crates are ready for more food to help people who need it.
We'll have probably 2 pallets like that stacked when we're done.
But his contribution does not end at the Hunger Task Force, because John is also directly involved, often delivering food himself to people who are homeless in Cameron and Copeland parks.
One time we brought hard-boiled eggs, and a guy told my wife, you just gave me a reason to live another day. And another gentleman, a Vietnam vet, grabbed my arm the other day and he says, why do you care about us? And that just about broke my heart. He says, how can I not?
He's got a compassion for people. He sees somebody on the street that is in need, and he's running up to me and saying, what can we do? And so I can see him hopping from place to place to volunteer to just kind of get the whole picture.
When they're dry, then we stack them.
Sometimes that whole picture involves cleaning crates, but whatever the task, John plans to continue. Now we meet Mary Henthorne.
You can say Mary Henthorne's life has been dedicated to kids, students specifically, especially when their family loses their home.
I'm sure it's quite devastating. Makes them feel, they just don't have anything that's theirs. According to the social workers and the counselors, because that's who we give the We Care packages to the schools that are in our region.
No We Care package looks the same, and that's deliberate, so kids don't stand out or appear to be getting help.
Not all is fair within a classroom as far as the circumstances children come from. And, we had kids that maybe had to leave home or went into foster care, and that's a devastating thing for some children.
Lynn volunteers with Mary, and no matter how much Mary tries to share the praise for these packages, all of it keeps coming back to her. 7 years ago, Mary says she was given $100 to make up some care packages for kids experiencing homelessness. It was barely enough, so she got creative.
She's always thinking about what else can we put in there to make the kids happy, and she can't pass a discount store without finding something in there that, ooh, that'll go in the bag.
Today, the We Care packages get more support, but filling them is still a challenge as the number of kids in crisis throughout the La Crosse School District continues to grow.
So we don't actually know who gets it, but the social workers and the counselors say that they are very much appreciated.
We Care packages are a team effort. Teachers alert the school counselors about a student in crisis, and then the counselors reach out to Mary and her team. One told Mary that the packages are often the difference in a kid staying in school or dropping out.
Well, I think that I get pleasure in it. I mean, it's work, but it's all worth it in the end.
When we come back, we'll share more stories of exceptional volunteers.
Welcome back. Now we see the work Al Brinkman does as a volunteer.
Al Brinkman does not shy away from hard work. In fact, at Wafer, he sort of does the job of 3 volunteers.
Bring the stuff back here and we separate the stuff between the bakery, the meat, produce. What has to be refrigerated, like cakes go in there. And then the rest stuff we box up, put a date on it, and put it in the freezer and rotate it.
Al has been helping out at the giant food bank for 12 years. And if he ever stops coming, the operational manager says he would be missed.
He always comes in with a great attitude, positive attitude, always willing to help in any situation. It helps the other volunteers as well as clients. So it's just great to have him.
When asked why he volunteers so much, Al says it just kind of happens. He sees a need and wants to help, but often he goes above and beyond that need.
There's a gentleman that had a surgery, and he just got out of the hospital, and he had to stay in a hotel. He must not, I don't know if he was homeless or not. So they put a bundle of food together, and I delivered it over there, and just keep resting, and hopefully when he got up, he had some nourishment and stuff. So.
And Al will stop at nothing to make sure everyone gets that nourishment, even if it means putting his own health at risk.
Last year, because of COVID, we just had deliveries and takeouts, and we still did. We served like an hour and a half, 2 hours after we were supposed to be done.
Al helped serve 3,200 meals that day, and yet he says he's blessed because his life is made better by volunteering.
It's just a good feeling. You feel it makes it worthwhile, you know.
Now we meet Howard Dunham, a man spreading joy wherever he goes.
Howard Dunham puts his heart into everything he does.
There is so much good in life. So much good.
And everything he does is for his community.
I can just see the goodness in the people in Westby.
And they see the goodness in him.
And I want you to pay attention to this humble man standing on the corner of East State and Main, and notice how cheerfully he goes about doing his work and serving our community in that regard.
How's it going today?
Steve says he first learned about Howard after he applied for the crossing guard position, but that certainly wasn't the last he saw of him.
Have a good day at school. You too. Thank you.
If you look around where our community is gathering, where good work is being done, Howard's going to be there.
Howard started volunteering a lot after retirement, but not for reasons you might think. It all started when his mother was a resident at Westby's Bethel home.
I would go to visit her, and she wasn't in the mood to be disturbed. She had dementia, so I'd go upstairs and volunteer.
He's everywhere, all around, all the time. He never wants the spotlight, which I think is one of the most fantastic things about him. He just humbly serves.
Morning.
Howard is in his 80s.
How was breakfast?
But you wouldn't know it. He's always busy. If he's not watering flowers at the Westby Area Historical Society, he's cleaning the church and working funerals. And every week he volunteers at Come for Supper, a community meal at Our Savior's Church. He not only preps the food, He socializes with the guests during the meal, and afterwards he cleans up.
Thanks for coming to Westby. Morning. You go to church and have faith, and also see the good in other people. See the good and praise them.
We introduce you now to Karen Deeringer, a woman who's already very busy, but always has time to volunteer.
You know the saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Well, that person is Karen Deeringer. The Jefferson Award winner works 2 jobs, and any extra time she has is spent here, sorting clothes for kids.
I think every kid deserves to have clean clothes and deserves to be able to dress like the other kids do and not stand out because, you know, they're wearing the same clothes 3 times a week or 4 times a week, or their clothing is dirty.
Karen volunteers at the Trinity Lutheran Clothing Closet. It's actually more like a store, only the families using it don't pay, just pick out what they need. In 2010, the clothing closet was started at Franklin School in a small closet. But they couldn't fill the clothing need in the community. So now it's about 10 rooms in the bottom of this church.
You need to open your eyes and look around. Maybe you're not paying attention to what's going on in our community, but anybody who thinks that our community, that there are families that aren't struggling, just isn't looking around.
Karen speaks from experience.
When I was a young parent, we really struggled financially, and so I know what that's like to feel judged, and I know what that's like to have people comment on what you have in your grocery cart.
And that's why she works extra hours and extra hard to give back.
I don't ever want someone else to feel that way, so we really try to treat our kids and our families with respect and let them know that we care, that, you know, their circumstances have nothing to do with the kind of person they are, so that shouldn't affect how their kids are dressed or what they have.
At the closet, there is no judgment, just a friendly, returning the favor kind of feel. And the looks on the kids' faces are proof that it's about much more than clothes.
Katie Kramer is sharing her story to inspire others to give back with whatever amount of time you have.
And then let's get you signed in here.
Katie Kramer usually asks people how they feel. But the Gunderson nurse says she learned a long time ago that someone's overall health is made up of so many different things. And the same philosophy applies to the homeless.
When I talked to one patient in particular, I asked him about living in the tenting communities and why I was noticing a greater influx of homeless people coming into the hospital. And he had told me that because of COVID precautions, they had a decreased capacity in a lot of our shelters here in town.
So Katie had an idea to bring health care to the people on the streets. Getting her co-workers involved was much easier than she expected.
Explaining that aspect to those in the hospital, immediately everyone felt encouraged that yes, we agree, they equally are deserving of care and medical aid and love just as we would anyone in our hospital.
Hearts in the Park completed its 2nd year, and with each successful event comes new ideas and new ways to help the homeless.
And what originally started as an idea to do just a drop-off of these medical supplies turned into a full-on holistic event where we were able to provide haircuts, beard trims, wound care, hot meals, meals to go, housing resources, addiction resources, sexual assault resources, all in one location with volunteer doctors and nurses from all over the area.
That's so nice of you guys to do this stuff for us.
Oh, absolutely.
As for the future of the homeless in our community, Katie suspects she'll keep seeing them in the hospital. But if she doesn't, there's always Hearts in the Park.
I'm just so thankful. I feel so thankful. I feel grateful. But I also feel that this is my duty to my community, that I need to step up, and if not me, then who? And so that's why I'm going to continue to do this, and I'm going to continue to help as many people as I can.
Stay with us for more Jefferson Award stories.
Welcome back. We now introduce you to our next Jefferson Award winner, Jackie Getter.
We could. Where did I lay those down?
In a room full of gifts.
More fleece blankets, and I bought some more word search, and I bought some more candy.
It's easy to misplace a thing or two, but Jackie Getter eventually finds what she's looking for.
So these packages are going to Fort McCoy. We ended up having 60 packages of sweatshirts, socks, and hats that are going to the Afghan refugees.
And the rest of this will go to others who need some help or kindness. For Jackie, the effort began 7 years ago when her son told her a story about buying coats for 2 young brothers in Kickapoo who were sharing one.
This is really sad that there are children out there that don't have a coat to wear to school.
So Jackie went to work. She crocheted and wondered if she made 60 caps, would people buy them so she could use that money to buy coats for children?
60 caps takes about 120 hours, but I thought, I'm only investing an hour or two of my time and $1 or $2 of yarn, and someone's getting a coat because of that.
Anybody that needs help, Jackie will be there to help them.
Brenda Hogrud is Jackie's friend. Through her work at an elementary school, Brenda understands the need, and she's experienced the joy children feel when they receive warm clothing to help them through the winter.
I was in one of the stores in town last night and ran into a grandma, and the little girl had on the coat, and she came up to me, "See my coat?" And I said, "I do see your coat. It's new." And I said, "Well, I really like your coat." And Grandma's just beaming because Grandma couldn't have done it for the 3 kids without us.
Oh, these cards are so sweet.
The generosity does not end with children. Jackie also makes sure people in care facilities receive something, especially this time of year. Among the gifts, cards created by children. As they take some time to read the cards from children, they pause to consider how fortunate they are. Jackie says if you have more, you should do more. Something that becomes a bit easier with the help of good friends who, in this case, are always nearby.
If you have a good cause and people believe in you, you will not have a problem finding people to help you.
It also helps if you're a good person yourself. Dean Olsen donates his time and talent to fellow church members.
Dean Olsen has been playing guitar for 52 years. He said by the age of 10, he was hooked.
The second time that the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan Show, I turned to my dad and I said, "That's what I want to do."
But like most artists, when they're starting out, he soon found out that it wasn't an easy way to make a living.
I went back to college and got my engineering degree. So then I worked as an engineer for a number of years.
But that didn't last long either, because Dean's guitar kept calling him back.
Once you get into it, you just really can't get away from it. It will draw you back in.
So Dean started playing around town, performing at different venues, including Our Savior's Lutheran Church in West Salem. And in the fall of 2013, he went from performing in the church praise band to teaching kids who had never seen a guitar.
It wasn't even my idea. It was another person's idea, and he talked me into it. And then it started, and it just grew.
8 kids showed up for the first class. And while some didn't come back, others were immediately hooked, just like Dean. The kids, who now have a hobby and a constructive outlet, are going on to do bigger things, good things, that started off with learning to simply strum a guitar. And while the students in his church class might say otherwise, the talented but humble musician doesn't think he's doing anything special.
It's not really volunteering, it's more of a passion.
Our final winner of the evening is Art Marston.
Art Marston has a very simple explanation as to why he started volunteering.
I guess basically the reason I volunteer is that's the way I was brought up.
But what really sealed the deal on a career of volunteering, a brief encounter at his very first job.
My boss was a Lion Club member, and he invited me to lunch and asked me to be a Lion. And the Lions gave me the tools to do all kinds of volunteer work.
And his favorite thing to do?
I think I enjoy doing vision screening with children more than anything. Children are curious and they're open in their feelings and stuff.
While Art is rather humble and soft-spoken, he is not afraid to ask organizations for money. And his courage to do that secured the most high-tech vision testing on the market.
It only takes you about 30 seconds to screen somebody's eyes with this screener. And so I wrote a grant again. Got 3 screeners for our Lions Club here, and we do vision screening in all the schools.
The Lions Club even screens athletes for the Special Olympics, providing them with protective eyewear and glasses if they need it. Part of the reason for Art's longevity in volunteering can be attributed to, once again, making volunteering a family affair.
One of my favorite stories is my daughter she went to Aquinas High School and was doing a service project there. And the TV station interviewed her and they said, why are you volunteering to do this service weekend for Aquinas? My daughter's response is, that's what our family does. We do volunteer work and help people.
See you at noon. Thank you.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Sometimes a smile to a stranger or helping somebody carry groceries out of the store. I mean, you could do all kinds of things that are somewhat insignificant but really help people in need.
And we'd like to announce our national winner, Katie Kramer. Our committee chose Katie to represent the Cooley region at the 2022 National Jefferson Awards.
If you'd like to nominate someone, go to WXOW.com/Jefferson Awards and look for the nomination form on that page. Thanks for joining us.
And have a good evening.